With me today, I've got Mustafa, and we're going to be talking about how to pivot to a new career or role. Something that could actually be useful for a whole bunch of people out there, based on the jobs market. My background is working in IT. There's been a lot of people laid off. The number of jobs doesn't fit the number of people that have been laid off. Some people are going to have to pivot in some shape or form. And I think Mustafa has just this amazing story of how he's not just pivoted once, but many times. What we're going to do is going to talk about that. Mustafa's been a pharmacist, a diplomat, a banker, and a coach. I mean, you can't get more pivoted than that. So Mustafa, where can people find you?
Thank you so much, Tim. It's a pleasure being with you today.
So where can people find you? Where's your website, LinkedIn?
So my two main website, mustafaammar.com and thepassionmba.com. And also they can find me across all the platforms, social media platforms, as thepassionmba.com, on LinkedIn, Mustafa Ammar.
And there's a lovely photo of you smiling and on your LinkedIn profile. So talk us through this. That you've gone from pharmacist to diplomat to bank. I mean, why did you do that?
Well, it was never planned like this. Just if I go back to when I was 5-6 years old, I still recall all of this as if it's today. So my family and other relatives, they were asking me that question: what you want to be when you grow up? And I remember I mentioned 5 or 6 things. So I say football player, an astronaut, engineer, many things. So, and the answer was really tough for me, because no, you cannot be all of this, and you have to pick one. I struggled to conform with that for, I think, all my teenager time, and I decided, okay, I think I have to maybe conform with that, and I have to stick to one. Then I just went through, okay, maybe diplomacy is for me, or no, maybe medicine is for me, or many things, engineering, until I was 16. And I decided, I think I love chemistry, and I have to decide to stick to one right now. So I love chemistry. Let me specialize in all types of chemistry. And I found that in pharmacy. But I wasn't sure whether pharmacy was for me or not. But I thought, okay, let me enjoy 5 years of all types of chemistry, and let's see after that. And my intuition was true, because once I graduated, I knew that pharmacy wasn't for me. I enjoyed chemistry so much. I loved it. But then I think I need to dig deeper back again in my passions and try to find something else. I found diplomacy.
So you went for a job as a diplomat, didn't you?
Yeah. So
I mean, you were telling me that there was, I don't know how many applications, and
it's a long process. Sometimes it takes 2 years from the beginning to the end. Since you start your application until they take you, and it's you never know. And also we have more than 2,000 contestants. I was a pharmacist, so all the chances are against me, all the odds are against me. But I just wanted to take all my chances. So it was a long process. I was a pharmacist for 3 years while studying, working. I was preparing myself to be a diplomat. Luckily, I became a diplomat, and I enjoyed so much diplomacy life. It's very diverse. You get to travel different places. So I work in Africa and Malawi. I also work in the UN for 2 short missions, and I work in China. Somehow in China, I thought after 10 years of my career in diplomacy, I reached the peak. And I thought I really need to change. If I just get myself stuck for another 10 years, my life will be horrible. I like the nature of the job, but then also I like to challenge myself. I dig deeper for a year. I tried to find an answer, and the answer came through investment banking. While I was in China, I moved to an investment bank in China. It's very similar to the World Bank. It's the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So very, very similar in nature. So you get to also use your international experience and expertise. I was covering the Middle East as first point. I was covering Latin America, Africa. It was a very interesting time. So I decided, okay, maybe this is my new, dream career. I will stay there forever. So I decided to do my MBA, and I did it in Manchester in the UK, maybe to grow more in that career, because I don't have the financial background and investment background. So I wanted to learn very fast. What happened while I was enjoying my banking career, the MBA changed my mind. Because when you do an MBA, it's a very generalized education, not very specialized and in depth. So you knock on different doors. So I saw myself in many different other realities. Okay, I could be an entrepreneur. I could be a coach. I could be an author. I could be many of these. And I thought, okay, while you're still young, you can have that change, and you can do it, having in mind my past experiences. So and I could do it again. And I thought, okay, I think 4 years in banking was enough for me. I enjoyed the experience. I had some goals. One of them is to help also my region as the Middle East. And I managed to bring several projects to my country, even Egypt, worth of $1.1 billion of investment. And I thought, okay, I learned a lot. I grew out of my comfort zone. Why not you start something on your own? And this is how I ended up in running my coaching business since 2020. I wrote a book, Time to Move On.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the last 3 years has been very interesting, successful and interesting, of course, challenging. I helped
It's nothing like starting a new business in a global pandemic.
Exactly. But then also there are a lot of challenges. We can also talk about the challenges. And then how you can make yourself unique in the market, which is, I think, is very, very important. I help dozens to hundreds in many different capacities, whether on my social medias, whether coaching. And I thought there must be a way to scale that service and do more than this. And that's why now I'm starting again a fifth life. So I'm designing and building a tech startup, hopefully to help more than this, hopefully a bigger number than this.
So what were the challenges every time? Because I think, people looking in today, could say, well, I'm in a situation where I need to move or change.
Yeah.
And immediately they're going to hit certain things. And,
Yeah.
And so what can they learn from you?
Well, I think the main challenge in the beginning is not having a clear vision of what you really want to do.
Okay.
And this is, I think, it's very crucial. This is the very first step that anyone should consider and look at. So thinking, for example, of I want to change. I'm stuck here. I've been in this case for some time, and I don't know what to do next. And what to do next is so crucial. Is you need to know before you're heading and leaving your job what you really want to do. So in my case, unintentionally, I did a lot of orientation in the beginning. Like when I was a pharmacist starting my career, I did a lot of orientation. And orientation for me was, okay, reflection, spending time on understanding myself, my thoughts, my passions. But then having done several career pivots, I created my own, I call it a methodology, I call it the passion blueprint. I help people through a step-by-step to do that orientation. And just give you an analog, an example of doing this. Let's, for example, we are together driving a car for thousands of miles. That would take maybe 4 or 5 days. I assume that journey needs 3 essential elements: enough gas for the car, and a GPS with us, and also a final address. Without enough gas, we'll stop somewhere in the middle. We'll never be able to get to the end. Without the GPS, maybe we'll get lost dozens or hundreds of times in the middle. We'll never be able to get to our destination. And there is no benefit of having a GPS if you don't have an address there. So let's apply this on our life, on our career. Enough gas means enough passion. So if you don't have passion for whatever you're doing, you'll stop. You don't know why you're stopping, but you're stopping. The second, a GPS, is your values. Your values are very instrumental in directing your ways and your direction in life. So if you work somewhere that is not satisfying your core values, you'll get lost. And I'll give an example: freedom or family. If they are your core values, and you work somewhere that is always endangering family as a value or freedom, it's really not worth it. And the final destination is an ideal lifestyle. It's somewhere you want to be in your life, whether, financially, whether family, whether how many houses you want to live in, how's your ideal day, how's your ideal weekend. So if you bring those three circles together and they intersect somewhere in the middle, this is where you want to be. And this is what I call an orientation process that help you to decide what's the next step.
So so one of the things about that was just different about you than maybe some people today is that you were in control of that process. And
Yes.
and you, as you said, you went through a process of orientation. You know, if someone basically is basically made redundant, and they go through the process of applying for jobs and they feel that there isn't any jobs, what should they do or at what point should they start thinking about something else?
So exactly, that's the mistake that a lot of people are doing. They go out to the market and see what's there and they apply for that. And it's very hard to fit. What I advise is to do the orientation, create your ideal or dream career in your mind, in your vision, and go out and create it. And I did that. So, for example, I never had a job for me in the banking career. I created it first in my mind and then in reality. And when you do that, it's there's no competition. Like no one could compete with you, with your experiences, with your strength, with the experience that you're bringing with you. So if you start, okay, let me ignore everything out there in the market, all the noise that's out there, and let me think for, I don't know, let me do an orientation for a couple of weeks, understand my passions, my values, look at my skill set, see where I need to work on my weaknesses, okay, and then create that ideal dream career and go out and create it. I think it's much more fun than going out and just applying for hundreds of jobs and let's hope that somebody would see my CV and value what I'm doing.
I actually have a friend who's done this, who actually he decided that the roles that he was being interviewed for didn't fit him. So he actually started writing blogs on LinkedIn to say that there needed to be this new role out there.
Wow.
And he actually had people coming to him saying, "Oh yeah, we really agree. We could do with someone like that."
Exactly. And it's something I talk to a lot of my clients, and I used to do that mistake in the past, is that I wasn't really in control in several stops in my life. But you really have to be in control, and in control means your vision. Build a vision and go out there and advocate for it and talk to everybody, educate people about your vision, because you see life from another perspective, and you really need to bring people from that perspective, let them see. If they start seeing, as in your friend case, is okay, come.
I thought it was genius when he rang me and he told me that. I thought that's a really good idea.
Exactly.
So what about one of the things about looking for work is it can be very depressing. What about resilience?
Resilience is a key. Resilience is a key, but resilience also is built after the vision, because if you don't have a clear vision, why would you preserve, right? It's really hard. But once you have that vision, once you know, oh, this is for me, I will do my best to get there. This is the grit starting, there, and the fire. And I had that all the time. Like in diplomacy, for example, I failed in the beginning. And so I went through an exam and I failed in economics. And okay, this means that you have to go back again. So as a pharmacist, while everybody's saying, we told you, you will not be able to do it. And if I didn't have that grit inside me, build on that vision, I would say, okay, I think I'm a loser. I think I wouldn't do it. I think, but I decided to give myself another chance because I saw my life. I saw, wow, this is for me. I would love to do this. I would love to live this life. And that really helped me a lot. A bit of faith, resilience, grit together. It's a great mix. And then just go out there and fight for your dreams.
Yeah, I think that feedback is important, isn't it? And actually filtering it, because when you went for the diplomat job, people did say to you, told you wouldn't get it.
100%, 99.9% of people were saying this.
and you need to be, when I started my company now, 8 years ago, everybody was saying, well, why didn't you just go and get another job?
Yes.
I said, no, I want to run my own company. And one of my friends, she phoned me up and she said, if you don't start your own business, I'm going to come over there and I'm going to punch you or something like that. and it was like, okay, Sharon, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And it was scary.
Yeah, I agree. It's always scary. It's always scary when you have a big dream and want to achieve something. It's always scary. But then I don't think there's nothing more beautiful in life than having a dream and going out and conquering that dream and proving to yourself that you can grow and you can do things that you never thought you would do in the past. It's a great feeling.
So in terms of your book, Time to Move On, you talk about the 7 myths.
Yeah.
Have we covered them all, or is there any that we've missed? Or
well,
4 minutes. Do you want to run
exactly.
through?
Exactly. Not directly, but what I can say, it's Time to Move On was the result of the hard way learning to unlearn all the things I learned in the past. So, for example, my story in the past, when my family asked me to conform to one specialization, and I had to conform at some point, I unlearned that later in the stage, is that this is a myth, because it's not the only way to succeed in life is to specialize in one, specialization and spend all your life there. There are many other ways, including what I call being a career shapeshifter, is somebody who could reinvent herself or himself many different times and also be resilient in a job market that is ever changing. AI is, disrupting jobs, and there are markets and jobs that are disappearing. Hopefully, who knows what would happen in the coming years. But at the end of the day, if you have that capacity to change and reinvent yourself in many different ways, you're going against the myth. So,
and yes, I think there's lots of things that are changing. Whether it's AI, drones pilot wasn't a thing probably 10 years ago. And now having an ability to, I remember telling loads of people, you need to, if you want to go and get a job, you need, and that's one of the things that you could be looking at. If you're not in a role right now, it's about trying to look into the future. I had an ex-girlfriend of mine got laid off, and she said, "What do I do?" She worked in financial services, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "What you need to do is," there was a course on Muslim-based financial services products. I said,
very special, exactly.
Very specialized.
Yes.
And I said, why don't you go away and learn that? And it was, and it's one of those things where you would be only one of a few people that would know about that.
Exactly. So Cook and many other examples of that. And even if it looks very specializing in a very narrow specialization, but still she managed to broaden her expertise. So go out and, learn about a new skill or another specialization. If she managed to do that again and again and again, she's never in danger.
Yeah. She'd done an MBA. She did an MBA at Cranfield, but it was about you've taken you've done an MBA. It's a very broad base. But take that and then
dive deeper into.
And one of the things that anybody needs, I remember I got laid off and I looked at doing an MBA. In the end, I got a job very, very quickly. But that was one of the things of actually going back into education.
Yes, exactly. I agree. And also learning skills is a key. So right now, learning skills is very underrated compared to degrees. Degrees are important, but to get a degree right now, it takes 2 to 4 years.
Yeah.
In this ever-changing job market, learning a skill is a couple of months. And you're out there and you go out and you get the job, because also now you can see HR and recruiters are changing their perspective. They're looking more at skills. If you have the skills needed for the job, why not, right?
Yeah. So my where I come, my background is in IT. I work for a US software company called Oracle. They've completely changed the talent pool that they're looking from salespeople. They're actually looking for people that have not necessarily been in sales.
Yeah, exactly.
because they're looking for the skill and the aptitude.
Exactly.
They can give them the, they can teach them how to sell and teach them about
The hard skills can be learned, but
yeah,
they need also
actually,
some soft skills.
But actually understanding how to deal with people and stuff like that aren't
100%.
necessarily
100%.
taught.
100%.
Mustafa, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. Remind us where that people can find you.
Thanks so much, Tim. So my website, mustafaammar.com and thepassionmba.com. Also across the several social media as thepassionmba.com.
And you have a book, don't you? Time to Move On, which is on Amazon worldwide. I've seen it on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Just to show how it looks to people. Time to move on. The 7 career myth that is excellent. You need to bust before finding anything.
Mustafa, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
So
thank you.
Tim. Same here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.